In a surprising development in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, Ukrainian soldiers have reportedly dismissed the involvement of North Korean troops in the war, referring to them as cannon fodder. This comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has proposed a potential prisoner exchange deal, suggesting that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un could assist in facilitating the return of Ukrainian prisoners held by Russia. The situation highlights the complex, with North Korea's alleged involvement raising questions about its role and motivations. As the war continues, the focus remains on diplomatic efforts to resolve the crisis and ensure the safety of those affected. More updates to follow. In a sobering announcement, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists has moved the doomsday clock to just 89 seconds to midnight, the closest it has ever been since its creation in 1947. The symbolic clock, which represents humanity's proximity to global catastrophe, serves as a stark warning about the escalating threats facing the world today. The decision to move the clock forward reflects challenges, including rising nuclear tensions and the accelerating impacts of climate change. According to the bulletin, these factors collectively represent a dangerous moment for humanity, with the potential for irreversible consequences. Rachel Bronson, the president and CEO of the bulletin, emphasized that the clock's new position is not just a reflection of one issue but a culmination of multiple crises. She pointed to the war in Ukraine as a key driver, citing the heightened risk of nuclear conflict and the destabilization of global security. Additionally, the worsening climate crisis, marked by record-breaking temperatures, extreme weather events, and the rapid melting of polar ice caps, has further compounded the urgency of the situation. The doomsday clock was originally established to highlight the dangers of nuclear weapons, but over the years, its scope has expanded to include other existential threats, such as climate change and disruptive technologies. The clock's movement is determined by a panel of scientists and experts, including Nobel laureates, who assess the state of global risks each year. This year's announcement has sparked widespread concern and debate. Many see it as a wake-up call for governments, organizations, and individuals to take immediate action to address these pressing issues. However, critics argue that the clock is a symbolic gesture that may not translate into tangible change. As the world grapples with these challenges, the message from the bulletin is clear: the time to act is now. With the clock ticking closer to midnight, the stakes have never been higher. Stay with us for more updates on this story and its implications for the future of our planet.
Good evening. A new report has sent shockwaves through Canada's political landscape, revealing that the country has been the target of widespread foreign interference. According to findings from a recent commission probe, several foreign states have actively sought to destabilize Canada's political system, raising serious concerns about national security and the integrity of democratic institutions. The investigation, which spanned months, uncovered a range of tactics employed by these foreign actors. These include cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, disinformation campaigns aimed at influencing public opinion, and covert efforts to manipulate political processes. While the report does not name specific countries, it highlights a growing trend of foreign interference that has been observed globally in recent years. Experts warn that such interference poses a significant threat to Canada's sovereignty. Cybersecurity analysts have pointed to vulnerabilities in the country's digital infrastructure, which could be exploited to disrupt essential services or compromise sensitive government data. Meanwhile, political analysts are raising alarms about the potential erosion of public trust in democratic institutions, as disinformation campaigns sow division and confusion among citizens. The Canadian government has responded swiftly to the report, with officials pledging to strengthen the country's defenses against foreign interference. Measures under consideration include bolstering cybersecurity protocols, increasing transparency in political funding, and enhancing public awareness of disinformation tactics. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau addressed the issue earlier today, stating, quote, "Canada will not tolerate any attempts to undermine our democracy. We are committed to protecting our institutions and ensuring the safety and security of all Canadians." This revelation comes at a time when many nations are grappling with similar challenges. From election meddling in the United States to cyber attacks in Europe, the threat of foreign interference is a global issue that requires coordinated international action. Canada's report serves as a stark reminder of the need for vigilance and resilience in the face of these evolving threats. As the story develops, Canadians will be watching closely to see how their government addresses these pressing concerns. For now, the message is clear: safeguarding democracy in the digital age is more critical than ever. Stay tuned for more updates on this developing story. Back to you.
In breaking news, the Israeli military has confirmed that its air force carried out a targeted strike in southern Lebanon earlier today. The operation, which took place in the Nabatea region, reportedly targeted a Hezbollah truck and an accompanying vehicle. According to Israeli military sources, the strike was part of ongoing efforts to counter Hezbollah's activities near the Israeli-Lebanese border. The Nabatea region, located in southern Lebanon, has long been a stronghold for Hezbollah, the Iran-backed militant group that Israel considers a significant security threat. While details about the strike remain limited, initial reports suggest that the targeted vehicles were believed to be involved in transporting weapons or other materials linked to Hezbollah's operations. The Israeli military has not disclosed whether there were any casualties or the specific nature of the cargo. This latest development comes amid heightened tensions between Israel and Hezbollah, with both sides exchanging threats and accusations in recent weeks. Analysts warn that the situation could escalate further, as any miscalculation or provocation risks igniting a broader conflict in the region. Southern Lebanon has historically been a flashpoint for violence, and today's strike underscores the fragile security situation along the border. The Lebanese government has yet to issue an official response to the airstrike, but it is likely to draw condemnation from Hezbollah and its allies. The group has previously vowed to retaliate against any Israeli aggression, raising concerns about potential reprisals in the coming days. Meanwhile, the international community is closely monitoring the situation, with calls for restraint on all sides to prevent further escalation. As tensions simmer, the focus remains on de-escalation and maintaining stability in a region already plagued by conflict and political instability. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you updates as they become available. In a sobering announcement, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientist has moved the doomsday clock to just 89 seconds to midnight, the closest it has ever been in its 76-year history. The symbolic clock, which represents humanity's proximity to global catastrophe 1 second, was driven by a combination of factors, including the worsening impacts of climate change, geopolitical tensions, and the ongoing risks posed by nuclear weapons. The Bulletin, a Chicago-based organization of scientists and policy experts, emphasized that the world is facing unprecedented challenges that demand immediate and coordinated action. Climate change, in particular, was highlighted as a critical factor in this year's adjustment. The rapid melting of polar ice caps, rising global temperatures, and extreme weather events have underscored the urgent need for global leaders to address the climate crisis. The Bulletin also pointed to the ongoing war in Ukraine and its implications for nuclear security, as well as the erosion of international cooperation on arms control, as key contributors to the heightened risk. Rachel Bronson, president and CEO of the Bulletin, stated, "The doomsday clock is a metaphor, but it is grounded in reality. It reminds us that we are living in a time of unprecedented danger, and the actions we take, or fail to take, will determine the future of humanity." The doomsday clock was first introduced in 1940.
Undersea cables and pipelines in the Baltic Sea have been damaged, raising serious concerns about the security of vital connections between the 9 countries bordering the region. These cables and pipelines are essential for communication, energy, and economic stability, and their vulnerability has prompted NATO to take swift action. The alliance is now deploying advanced surveillance measures, including aerial and maritime monitoring, to protect these critical assets. NATO officials have described the situation as a wake-up call, highlighting the growing threat of sabotage and cyber attacks targeting infrastructure that underpins modern society. While no specific actor has been publicly identified as responsible for the damage, the